Hello, so we want to make a flickering light. It should have a couple of features. It should be able to be turned on and off in the level. The intensity should be changeable in the level, and the lamp glass should react to the light intensity. It should obviously flicker, and the flickering will start at a random time and is looping. The flicker length will also be random, and the time to the next flicker will also be random. Okay, so let's start here. First we make a folder. I will put all the files, like all blueprints and materials, in here and delete this guy here. I want to make the blueprint that we need for this. Like right click and choose blueprint class. It's an actor blueprint, of course. It's BP for blueprint, underbar flashlight. Open it, set up all the components that we need for this. We don't need much, we just need a static mesh, flashlight mesh, and we need spotlight there. So I have created this flashlight, put it here. There are two materials in it. And we actually have to clear the slots in the static mesh editor. Okay, I save it, compile it. Take the spotlight and put it right here. Okay, first set up the material for the flashlight. Go to the content browser and right click here and create a material. We set up a base material, master material like M for material, and underbar subsurface scattering like SSS, subsurface scattering, and then open it. And this material will be very simple. We just put a color here, like a color parameter, which is when you press V and left mouse button. Create it like this, or just right click and vector parameter. There it is. And it's the color. We put it like in the base color. And we also put it into subsurface color here. Subsurface color is, however, grayed out. And we click on the main shader node here and go to shading model and choose subsurface. This gives the material the ability to light up as soon as there is a light source behind the object. Yeah. The default color of our color parameter will be a warm white, like so. And we don't want to forget the group. It's the color. So when we have this subsurface scattering shader, we also want to have a parameter for the opacity, which is basically the strength or translucency of the material. Right click on the opacity, choose promote parameter, and that is the subsurface scattering opacity. So, and the group is opacity. When there is a default value of 0, the translucency will be very high, so very translucent object. And when we have a translucent value of 1, it won't be that translucent. So we put a nice 0.5 in here and save that. Go back to our content browser and we'll directly create a material instance from this, because it's best practice to do it with material instances and not choose master materials on the objects themselves. So create material instance. It's MI, like material instance, and flashlight glass. And now we want to put this material instance on our mesh. And I put the material, of course, in the glass slot, like here. And I want to have the brushed steel. So save it and close it. You can already see that the material emits light because the spotlight behind it emits it. As soon as we turn off effects world, the material will no more shine. So let's place this guy into our level. So now the intensity of the light is pretty high by default, and I don't want that to be that high because it interferes with my post-processing already. And let's have a look into the blueprint again. We changed the construction script of the blueprint and use two variables to modulate the visibility and intensity of the light. So first we make the bool. It's flashlight on. So compile, and we will set it right here. We get this variable here, we drag and drop it in here and get it. We want to set the visibility of the spotlight, like drag the spotlight in here, a reference of the spotlight, and set visibility on the spotlight, and just put this variable in the new visibility. So we have to make it public. It's this small eye icon that you know from Photoshop. Just press it and now it's set to public. So now we see the flashlight bool here. Great. And now we want to set up the intensity of the light too. Go in here, set a new variable like flashlight intensity. This one should be a float value. So compile it, give it a default value of say, well, set it to 500. Drag it in here with Control pressed. And in order to have the intensity value of the spotlight changed, we need to set this variable by the value that we set it in the level. So what we do is we drag from here with Alt so that we set it. We do it like so because we need this value later on again. So we set this value on the level and it will be set as a new default value inside of the blueprint. Save it. And now what we want to do is get another instance of the spotlight, set its intensity, like so, and just drag it in here, just double click the wire and have it all set up nicely. Like so. Awesome. Now save it. Now we have to make this one public again. Compile it. Oops. And see the new value that we have here. And you can change it now in the editor. In real time. And turn it on and off. Okay, so that's it all for the construction script. Just have it commented like so and turns off, turns light on and off in the level and sets intensity. Now we want to color it like the construction script because we all love colors. We now have set it up like these features here. Intensity should be changeable in the level and should be turned on and off in the level. And the lamp glass reacts to the light intensity. Now it should flicker. Actually, we want to have it flicker from begin play. Like when we start the level, the lamp should flicker right away, but with a delay that is randomly chosen between two values. As soon as the spotlight is not visible at all, we don't have to initiate any flickering light. What we do is we get the spotlight, get its visibility, branch from it, right click, custom event. This custom event should be the initiate flicker event. The initial flicker event will actually fire another event with a small random delay. We drag from this, set timer by function name. There it is. Function name will be another custom event. However, the time when this one will fire the event will be a random float in range. Random float in range. It should be something in between 2 seconds and 10 seconds. So when you start the game, this initiate flicker will start firing and this timer will begin to count down. And there is a random number chosen from in between 2 and 10. So we also want to have this timer to be set as a variable. We drag from it and promote it to a variable. This one is the flicker timer, so that we can invalidate it later. As soon as you invalidate it and recreate it, this random float will be chosen again. So there will be another number chosen from here. Okay, the function name should be flicker light. As soon as we put this function name in here, we copy it and make another custom event and paste it in here. So this way we can be sure that those names are the same. What we want to do is create a timeline. So the timeline will be the flicker driver. So we drag from here and say timeline, and we create a timeline, add a timeline. This is our flicker driver. And what should it do? When it's updating, it should set an intensity of the spotlight. So we drag a spotlight in here, drag from here, and set its intensity. So, like so. Awesome. The new intensity should be again a random float in range. And it should be something not as bright, like perhaps 50 and 200 or so. If you want to be sure that this number will never be higher than your main intensity, you can also drag your flashlight intensity here and put it in here. So, okay. Now we have the intensity that will be set, and it will be set as soon as flicker light is executed and goes into the flicker driver. However, as soon as the timeline is played once, it will be at the end of the timeline, and when you try to fire it again, it will not do anything because it's already at the end. So what we have to do is choose play from start instead of play. Now when you open the flicker driver, the timeline, double click it, you see there is a hard-coded value like 5 seconds. So we want to change this value each time when we play the driver. Go to the components, get a reference of the flicker driver timeline, get it, set length, set timeline length. Go in here and play from start, like so. What we want to have is a random float in range again here. And this one, it will be the length of the flicker time. It should be very short. So sometimes you only want to have a very short flicker, like a tick or so. And sometimes you want to have a bit longer flicker, but you don't want to have 10 seconds or so. We save it, we compile it. This one should already work. However, the initiate flicker will never go off. Why is that? Because it will never be fired from begin play. And I drag from the branch, from true value, and press initiate flicker. There it is. Okay, we save this and play it. There it is. And now what we see here, there will never be any flicker again, because we don't re-trigger it. And also the value of the light intensity is different from the standard value that we set up in the level. See? We need some conditions for the finished execute. A timeline will fire the finished event here as soon as it's ended. First, set the initial intensity again. So we can just copy that here, paste it here, remove the random float in range and just put the flashlight intensity here. Just drag from finished into set intensity and be fine. When we now want to have the flicker to appear again, we want to call this event again, initiate flicker. However, this timer is already set with a random float in range, and as soon as you reset it, the same random float in range will be taken. So it will not be changed. We have to invalidate the current timer. We drag the flicker timer here with Control pressed and type invalidate, clear and invalidate timer handle. Go in here. And now we need to call this event again, initiate flicker. So, and that's it. We go here and see what we have done. See that the intensity will go back to the value that we set in the level for this light as soon as the flicker ended. And also you can see that the flickering will start at random times again and have different random length of the flicker. That was our flickering flashlight tutorial. I hope it helped and see you next time. Bye.